Hey everyone, welcome to episode 40 of At the Coffee Table podcast. I'm Jason Klink, your host. Can't believe I've actually done 40 of these. Today I have the very distinct pleasure of interviewing Sam from Makeup by Sam.
Hello.
Not only is Sam a family member, she's a very talented makeup artist, and we're going to show you some of her work during this podcast. But I wanted to have Sam come on because, first of all, it's out of the lane that I have been in doing the podcast. I've talked about public safety, I've talked about business, talked about real estate, but we're going to get a little culture in our lives, so to say, and I'm going to interview an artist. So, Sam, thank you very much for joining me here tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, Sam, why don't you give everybody your background and how Makeup by Sam was created?
So it's funny because a lot of people ask me when did I get into makeup, and it was only like 4 or 5 years ago that I even started doing quote unquote full face makeup. And it just happened to get into the makeup industry when I got offered this like really weird new opportunity. And it was while I was living in Fort Lauderdale. There's this app called Circus. It's an app that kind of links you to different social events, or in my case, this was an opportunity to be a live caster for a new up and coming app that I had no idea about. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. I signed up, went through all the motions, went through the process, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you. Like, we'll sign you on. And mind you, at this time, I had no idea about makeup. I was just like, oh yeah. And you had to go on for an hour. So I was a live caster for hour shows. So I just started really basic, and kind of as the years went on, my skills progressed. I've always been into art, so I found it easy to slowly start translating the skills into my face. And
right. So what kind of artist were you prior to this, though?
I wouldn't say I was a full-blown, artist, but in high school I loved art. Arts and crafts is what I consider to be my hobby. I like to paint, and I think a lot of my, creative looks come from the skill I had with painting back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I got to show everybody your work, and if they haven't seen it before. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and hopefully this works. So I just want to.
I'm excited to see which one you picked.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just going to go into your Instagram a little bit, and it's got
cool. Fun.
a bunch of different photos here. But I mean, and if you watch Sam during the Halloween season, that's the best time to see her creativity, because I mean, as everybody can see here, I mean, we got the lollipop to the face, and it's funny because it's almost like glam gore.
Yeah, and it's fun because FX makeup is something I'm like trying to get better at right now, and it's hard because there's so many products that are totally different than the products I'm normally used to working with. So I'm still working on that, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the creativity that does. Now, is this just these different selections that you put together? Is it just something that comes to mind, or you think about it for a while?
There's some looks that I get from other people. Like, for the example, this one, I always link whoever I get the idea from or inspiration from, but some looks are my own. So it kind of varies. Yeah,
I mean, it's just, and I probably could click through these for hours, but
I think that one's one of my favorites. I had fun with that one.
Now, is there, obviously there's prosthetics involved in some of these?
Yeah, like that one is actually just foam board that I got from Joann's, and I just cut into saw shapes and then kind of essentially just put it to my face and kind of made skin around it.
Yeah, I mean, you got all of these, even you got the Wicked Witch from the West, or whatever that might be.
Yeah, those are prosthetics I actually got from Amazon. I was very surprised. They were $5. Usually prosthetics are very expensive.
Wow. And so how long does it take you to put together these looks?
So it's very surprising, but my live shows are only an hour, and I'm I'm quite the procrastinator, so I only do those looks in an hour. I'm quite literally like.
Wow.
Yep. That's my 1 hour looks.
Wow. It's, I would think, now, if I tried to do something like that, at first it looked like a kindergartner was doing it, but um, it would take, even with mediocre skills, I would think it would take hours and hours, days of planning and hours on end.
No, it's literally me. I go live right here where I'm sitting with you in my room,
Yep.
and I really just plop down. And I'm like, okay, grab this, this, and this. And I'm like, hey everyone.
Now, have you done anything like this with Instagram Live or Facebook Live?
I have not done any Facebook or Instagram lives, but essentially the app I work for, which is called YouCam Makeup, it's the same type of layout, I guess you would say. Like I can interact with everyone. They can comment, they can like, and all that type of stuff. So it's pretty fun. But no, I haven't done it on Instagram or Facebook. I think it would be fun to do though, because a lot of people ask about it.
Now, do you, with what you're doing, is there an end game for you? Is there plans to, I don't know, create a business or to go to Broadway or Hollywood?
What I really want to do, especially since we live in Syracuse and Syracuse is up and coming with movies, I really want to get into like production and become a makeup artist for some movie or whatever, because I actually was nannying for a mom whose husband was a producer for a movie in Syracuse, and at the time they already had a makeup artist, but she's like, I'll put in a word, and I was like, oh my god, I would literally do it for free just to have the experience, like to be on a movie set.
Yeah.
So that's fingers crossed. That's what I'd really like to do. In general, I want to do makeup like forever, whether it's movies, with the app I'm working for, freelancing. In general, any topic of makeup, I want to do it.
And the reason I ask that is because I can see where, you could take with what you're doing and even just on social and really create a brand for yourself.
Yeah.
Just by doing a lot of this. I mean, you post all of your finished product, but even if people saw what goes into each and every step outside of the app that you do it on, I could see where that, and I'm sure there's many makeup artists out there, all trying to vie for the same small plot of land in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I imagine for you it's a pretty big uphill climb. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you said I would do it for free just to get my foot in the door.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that any opportunity, even if they said they wouldn't pay me, I'd be like, I don't care. I'm coming. I'll be there in a minute. Like that can open so many doors, because it only takes one person to be like, oh, I know her, or oh, I know this girl in Syracuse, or so one person, it just doesn't matter. Got to get there.
Yeah, and it's the other part of how you mentioned how Syracuse was kind of up and coming in the film industry, because I know of a couple of friends of mine that are EMTs that actually worked in the medical staff as far as some of the sets.
Oh.
Prior to COVID. And until you saw some stuff from them that they posted, hey, I'm working with this film company, blah blah blah. I would have never known that there was film companies making movies or making whatever in Syracuse.
Yeah, it's crazy now, because I hear a lot of like friends who are extras. I hear bars or restaurants I go to, houses being rented in neighborhoods I know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many things happening here. I'm like, Syracuse, yay.
Yeah, you're right, and it's probably, I imagine, when it comes down to putting financials for that together, it's a lot cheaper to do it here than it is, even if it is in New York State, than it is Hollywood, California.
Oh, 100%. I can only imagine how much the price difference would be.
Now, have you had any bigger names reach out to you as far as just commenting on your work?
No, once in a while, like my inspo people, they'll either like my post or they'll say like great job or things like that, which is super exciting. But as far as like bigger names, not yet. But that's my goal. That's why it's important to always tag, hashtag, all that when you make a post. So maybe we'll see it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those conversations recently, just on marketing and branding, and about tagging and hashtagging, using the right hashtags, the right amount of hashtags. Something I had to learn. And I just spoken about that this week, that when I got into business, into real estate, I had no idea. I knew nothing about marketing or branding. and I had to learn it all. And I went, and it's a bigger part of that work than actually like selling a house or something like that.
It's true. The way that social media works today is like it's a whole nother level now. Whole nother
Yeah,
level.
all about the algorithm.
Yeah, that too.
Do you have a certain piece of work that you've done that was like, oh, this is my absolute favorite. I could never top this.
I feel like I do that every year. Like
Yeah.
it's usually scarier looks. I think my favorite from this year probably was I don't even have a name for it, but like the scary bald bloody looking. I don't know if you can pull it up or if you know what I'm talking about, but that one. I just think because that was a little bit better of FX makeup I've done.
Yeah.
I'm starting to figure out the bald caps, which seems
Yeah.
so.
This one with the saw or no?
No, not the saw. It's
Oh, I think I understood this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that it really
that
spooks
is something
people.
that is something that nightmares are made of right there.
Yeah, definitely something that's hiding under your bed or yeah, that's what I put my caption in. That's how I imagine it when I try to come up with names, like what could this character be?
Like we could not show this to our children, otherwise they'd be sleeping with us for like 3 months.
Yeah, there's certain looks that I show my daughter and certain looks I will not, like this one.
Right. And just so people understand, Sam does do less gore, I guess you could say.
I mean,
you do some glam stuff.
Yeah, I can be pretty if I want, but I prefer making myself scary. Just put it out there.
Now, have you done any work that you were like, oh, that's awful, I'm never doing that again?
Oh yeah, all the time. When I do my live shows, it's basically my time for experimenting. So like say there's a new type of application of eyeshadow or something, I'll try it on for my viewers and I'm like, oh my god, like immediate fail. But I'm like, all right, well, it's giving me the chance to do it because I'm a mom, so obviously I don't have much time other than my allotted like showtime slots. So I take that time and I use it to, better myself or attempt looks.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of trial and error that go into your broadcasts. So outside of the makeup world, have you done any other art type work or anything that's been, kind of found, so to say?
I wouldn't say anything too large as of yet. But I would say for Halloween is like my busiest time of year, both for my the app I work for, my personal looks, and for clients that I have for throughout the Halloween season. So it's fun to be able to take my work, more of my like creative looks and like FX makeup and put them on other faces because that gives me practice too. Because working on someone else's face is a whole different story than working on your own face. So that's a huge thing for me too. Getting able to practice during that time too.
So are you doing, like when you have clients come in for Halloween, is this all at home or do you have studio or?
I work out of my house right now. I'm not licensed, so a big thing in New York is you have to be licensed to either run a booth, work in a salon, et cetera, et cetera. So my goal was to actually go and get licensed this year, but COVID. So, I'm next year or the year after to get licensed. And another goal of mine is to either be able to run a booth or I would love to have a salon someday because I just learned how much one of my friends rents her booth out for. And I'm like,
cha-ching.
Yeah, money sign eyes.
Right. So do you find it's more challenging to do it out of your home? Is it limited resources or?
I wouldn't say limited resources, but I would say the biggest thing I feel like I sometimes turn clients away because maybe they think I'm not so serious or professional maybe. And I'm thankful for all the clients who have given me a chance and they see that my work is good, but it's definitely, I know that they're here and there. There's people that are like, I'd rather go to a salon or, someone that will come to me, which I do travel, but again, it's hard when you're working out of your house.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, and like any skill, any trade, business, and with our current environment, there's trials beyond the norm. 2020 has been, and I've said it probably 50 times, been an anomaly to this point.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so now, do you go and do like, for lack of better terms, trade shows or shows, so to say?
I haven't, but that's actually something I've been wanting to try to figure out how to get into because in October I was actually really busy with some weddings too, and weddings
Mhm.
is a big money maker. And to get in another branch of makeup as to getting into those wedding shows because that's where people book everybody, and
Okay.
that's something I want to do. I was thinking about trying that next year, but again with COVID, I don't know if they're even having these things anymore because it seemed like pretty much everything this year was just closed and done. So I'm not sure
Yeah,
about that.
from my line of work and so on, trade shows got all of them canceled across the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any kind of large gatherings got canceled, as you imagine.
Hmm.
I know of some of the followers that or influencers that I follow. There were some shows, so to say, that happened on a small scale,
Yeah.
but just about everything went virtual. Just about everything you got pushed back or canceled. And
Yeah.
there still are. They really, for any business person or a business that relies on those type of shows for exposure,
Hmm.
um, it really puts a wrench into the plans because they're either getting canceled or pushed back or going virtual, and then you got to step back and pivot.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I even lost like 3 or 4 weddings this year, and right at the prime of COVID quarantine lockdown happening, was I actually had a bride in my chair doing her makeup, and her photographer had called and said, "Oh, hey, sorry, I can't take your pictures tonight because of Cuomo or whoever put the mandatory like no unnecessary work or whatever, you could get fined." So
Right.
she literally was in my chair holding back tears and I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible for
That's,
everyone, bride, worker.
yeah, it's awful.
So
Yeah. Jeez. So we, I mean, you had said that from here you'd like to get into the production business, and now have you thought about doing any kind of like instructional type work or
that,
content?
yeah, like I said, makeup you can really go any which way with it, and I want to just branch off in every direction if possible. That's
Right.
another thing I've been thinking about doing. There's a lot of people who are interested in learning like how to do makeup versus just getting it put on their face. So
Right.
it's on my list to do is to come up with kind of like a routine that I would do if I had a client in my chair and how I would go about, teaching them as well as putting it on them essentially. And I also came up with the idea of doing kind of like small party gathering type of thing where it would be younger girls because obviously younger
Yeah.
girls start doing makeup, middle school, high school. But I remember when I was young, I was using bright orange foundation and things that didn't necessarily that I shouldn't have been using. So I think it's important for younger girls too to just be able to learn simple things, not like a full glam, but just general day-to-day makeup. So that's kind of on my to-do as well.
I was going to say, because I could see you really just diving into like a tutorial type thing.
Hmm.
Even if you had your own show like this, outside of YouCam,
Yeah.
and just, having some kind of interaction, or, one or two people with you and going through that stuff. I think that, honestly, I don't know anything about art or makeup, but I would, thinking about branding or branding something like that, it would be something that you could really help your exposure,
That's honestly a really
when it
good
comes
idea,
to,
especially in
yeah,
the setting to just be like, hey, you need this product, this product, this product, and then you can kind of
right.
just guide them side by side essentially. So
I mean, like you said, how many people are choosing the wrong
yeah.
products? Maybe something wrong for their personal skin or skin tone,
Hmm.
something to hide the glare. Um,
Little powder, little
Glow
yeah.
powder, hide the glare. Yeah. Um, so yeah, it's just it's really cool what you do, and when as following the posts that you do, especially like we said at the Halloween time, and just going, how does she come up with that? It's pretty amazing, and you're super talented.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very cool. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on today. How do people find you on social or otherwise?
So my Instagram is makeup by _Sammy B. No extra letters or anything. I don't usually use my Facebook too much for my makeup. My mainstream is Instagram, so everybody follow me on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow Sam, not only Halloween time, but throughout the year. If you know anybody that she can help out, anybody that can give her that extra nudge to the direction she wants to go as far as, film or TV, that'd be great. But thank you for joining me tonight. And for everyone else, if you get any value out of this, please comment, drop your comments. We got a few comments here tonight, which was pretty cool. And share it with anybody you think might get any value out of it. And as always, this is At the Coffee Table Podcast, where we pull up our chair to the table and talk about everything. And you can see anything with Sam being here and try to come up with, different tidbits and solutions or two. So with that, Sam, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
And everybody take care of yourselves and take care of each other and have a great night.